Now then, welcome to another video. So, I'm going to do a bit of a basing tutorial today. Things you need. So obviously you need your miniatures and you need your base. The main sort of terrain that's going to go around the base's feet and stuff, I use this. The AK terrain's muddy ground. You can make something similar just with some brown paint, stick a bit of PVA in it, chuck some sand and things in. The reason I use this is because it's consistent, because every time I've made it in the past it's been slightly different, a different colour and that sort of stuff. So I quite like using this because it's always the same, if you know what I mean. So that's the main sort of basing. Then the flock I use this stuff, WWE Scenics. It's a 2mm dead static grass. I just bought a big canister of it because I use it quite a lot. Some mixed herbs, stolen from the kitchen. An assortment of tufts. I've got loads of different ones. I'm not too precious about which tufts I use. Just have loads of them and I just use whatever. That way, if I run out of a certain type and I can't get hold of it anymore, which has happened in the past, it doesn't really matter. I've got some of this. This is from where is it from now? Yeah, sorry about that. It's Woodland Scenics. I think it's called Coarse turf. I think I bought this years and years ago. I'm running out now, actually. Hopefully I've got enough left there just to finish this army off, or to do this army. So there's that. Some clump foliage. This is from Jarvis. You get it and it's in these big clumps and you just rip it up and use it as and when you need it. And then some slate. This is, I think I got this from B&Q. Just garden sort of purpley kind of coloured slate. Doesn't really matter what colour you use or what type of slate it is because I paint it anyway. But yeah, a box of that. And I think that's about it. Yeah. Oh no. I've got some of these bushes. I got these online. They are from War Painter Scenics, so the green bushy ones. And also I bought a sheet of the mixed flowers. And these come in these kind of strips. You've got to cut them up and stick them on. So the mixed flowers from War Painter Scenics. Yeah, so that's everything you need. Right, first thing you do then. Okay then, so the first thing we need to do then is obviously get the figures off these bottle tops. I use these quite often when I'm painting 28mm figures, especially when I'm batch painting. I've just got loads of these bottle tops. And what I do is put a bit of PVA on it, stick the figure to it, let it dry overnight, and then they're good to go for painting. And surprisingly, they stay on there all right. So first thing we need to do is just snap them off, like so, and then arrange them on the base. So with them all snapped off, all we're going to do is try and figure out how they're all going to stand together on the base. So it's just a case of having a bit of a faff about with them, really. Try and mix them up. What I tend to do, these type barbarian type warbandy kind of armies, I mix all the weapon types together. So some have got double-handed weapons, some have got spears, some have just got hand weapons and shields, but I generally just mix them all up because it doesn't really matter, to be fair. But what I do try to do though is anything that's going to protrude from the base, such as that one spear there. Obviously when you're playing a game, they're going to move together. That's going to get in the way. So I'll try and move her to the back, I think. Let me get this one over there. So then, having a bit of a rummage in the slate box, just find some interesting looking bits. Things that aren't going to be in the way too much. Because these are on puddle bases, you've got to arrange it around them. Sometimes with figures, obviously they don't come with these puddle bases. You can actually have the figures stood on top of the bits of slate and that. But that's not always possible, so let's have a look in here. There's a nice flat bit, it's a bit big. Come on. Okay, so with all the models glued to the base and your bits of slate stuck on there, what you need to do next is take in an old knackered brush, such as this one, grab your AK muddy ground, and all we're going to do is start scooping some of this out and smushing it around the base. Just be careful when you're putting this on, around the feet, and when you come to the slate, what you need to do really is just smush it underneath it as much as you can. If you miss the odd little bit, or if you get a bit on the slate itself, don't worry about it, because we'll be covering any little mistakes like that later. Basically, all we're going to do, it's the most time consuming part of the whole process really, is just getting this stuff on, smushing it all around, and then it needs a good couple of hours to dry. So I'll crack on, I'll do that, I'll do the whole army, and then we'll come back for the next step. Okay then, so now the AK Muddy Ground's on the bases and it's dried, this is what we're left with. What I need to do now is paint all the bits of slate grey, and the grey I use is this one from Vallejo. It's the neutral grey. There's a number 992. I suppose it doesn't really matter which grey you use, but that's just the one I use. Get that painted, and then once that's on, what I do next is I use a really thin wash of Army Painter green tone. So probably one drop of that, probably about a 50-50 mix of that and water, and just put it over the grey. But I'll show you what that looks like once it's done. And again, when you're putting this grey on, don't worry about it splashing onto the brown bits, especially when you're putting the green wash on. It will inevitably seep into the brown around the edges. Don't worry about it. So all that's going to get covered later. Okay, I'll get that done. So then, with the grey painted on, all I need to do now then is add a green wash to it. I'll quickly demonstrate how I do this. Dead simple. So just a couple of drops of Army Painter green ink on there that you can't see. There you go. Bit of water in it. And it's a really thin wash, if you can see that. And all we're going to do is basically on the slate, it's just slap it on like so. Move it around a bit so it goes into all the recesses. If you get it on the brown bit, it doesn't matter. Like so. And I will point out this stage, I'm actually starting to lose the will to live doing this on a whole army at once. It might have been a better idea to do the units as I painted them. But you live and learn. Okay, I'll get this done. Okay, so the green wash is on and it has dried. That's kind of what we're left with. All we need to do is dry brush that, highlight it up a bit. And to do that, I use an old knackered makeup brush and Vallejo light grey. So, bit on the palette there, don't need much. Bit that on. Make sure you rub most of it off. Don't want to teach anyone to suck eggs here. We all know how to dry brush pretty much, I think. And then it's just a case of going over just really gently and just picking up all the raised details on the stones, like so. With that bit of green underneath, it just makes it look, the reason I do it, it's kind of almost a mossy sort of algae kind of build up on the rocks. So I don't want them too clean. And that's it pretty much. And again, you'll end up getting bits on the brown paint, but don't worry about that. Yeah, so that's what we're left with. Alright, moving on to the next bit then. So at this stage, all I've done, I've dry brushed all the bases with a skew shaky cam. game colour earth. And that's what we're left with. At this point, I really am getting fed up of doing these. It's a bad idea, doing the whole army at once. So, because I needed a quick win, I based up some cows. And also some sheep. Okay, on with the next bit. Now, sometimes you spend so much time collecting figures and basing them up and doing all this hobby stuff, you forget what it's all about. So I'm going to leave these for a couple of days, I think, because I'm completely burnt out. And I'm going to take some words of wisdom from a wise man and go and play some games.
Yeah, play games, guys. Go play fucking... message somebody right now. Get a fucking game organised. Of anything. What do you want to play?
Okay then, got a couple of games. It's a couple of days later now, and I get these finished. So next thing we need to do is get some static grass on this base. Now, as I said, I use, I'm not very organised as usual, this stuff, the 2mm dead static grass from WW Scenics. Grab yourself some glue of choice, either PVA or a bit of Mod Podge or whatever you've got to hand. And all we're going to do is get a brush, put some PVA where you want the grass to be, and sprinkle it over. I'll get that done and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so that is all the grass put on. As you can see, I've just left little patches of the brown showing through. It's a lot of that work we did before, dry brushing it, and that has been completely covered. But I think it's important to get it done because you will see bits of it. It's all about building up the layers, isn't it? So that's the grass on. Next thing we need to do is add the mixed herbs. And all I do for this, just get an old dessert pot, yogurt pot or something. I pulled out the recycling. Dip a little bit in there. And then all we're going to do is add some PVA glue to that, mix it all up and spread it on the base. Lovely. Smells nice. It's making a bloody mess, if I'm honest, but it does smell nice. There we go. There it is. All this is supposed to represent, really, I started doing this on my wood elf bases. You know, because that's like supposed to be like a forest floor. It's supposed to just be dead vegetation and stuff. One thing I've forgotten to do is add a little bit of green paint to it. Because as it dries out, the green colour of the actual mixed herbs kind of fades over time and it just goes brown. So just mix a tiny bit of green ink or something in there, just so it holds its colour a little bit. I'll just add that now. So all I add is a bit of this. It's a Vallejo Express colour. Which one's this? It's the Troll Green. It's really strong colour, so you only need a really tiny bit. It's probably a good idea just to put it away from it and you can just mix a little bit in because it's so strong. Just a little bit on the end of your little scoopy device. Just mix it in there like that. You can see how strong it is. It's almost luminous, if I'm honest. You only need a little tiny bit just to give it a little bit of colour. Mix it in. It's a bit of a faff on, to be honest. But when you're doing loads of base at once, you can make a great big heap of this and just go from one base to the next, which is what I have been doing. this is the last base in the army to get finished now. So there we go. And all we're going to do is scoop some off, get hold of it, and I normally put it in and around where the stones are, just so show where vegetation's been growing. In and around the stones, probably where animals aren't going to get right into it to eat it all. Vegetation's obviously died there. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. There you go. Looks terrible at the minute when it's like that, but once it dries, it looks alright. Trust the process, as people like to say these days. Right, I'll get that done and we'll move on to the next bit. Okay, so that's on now. That's kind of what it looks like while it's wet. Once it dries, it looks a lot better. Well, I think it does. It looks alright. Adds a bit of interest. So next thing we're going to do is a bit of this coarse turf. The last little dregs I've got left now. We'll need a little bit because there's only one base. If I can get hold of it, that is. There we go. Stick a bit on there. Maybe a little bit more actually. There we go. That'll do. And again, all we're going to do, get some PVA. Squared it in there. Loads of PVA in it. And again, give it a mix up. And again, we're going to put this in around where the stones are. And just spread it about really. Just add a little bit more interest. Like low bushes and mossy areas or whatever. There we go. I might as well show you putting some of this on. So just grab a scoop on there, and say what, we'll get it in there like that. Again, if you get it on the stones, no worries. You do get mossy areas growing up the side of stones in the great outdoors. There's a bit on there like that. Got a bit more. I think what I'll do is, see where the two stones meet there, you probably get a bit growing across it, so you can shove some in like that and just squeeze it all in, and then have it just go around the side onto where the mixed herbs are as well, so I'll blend it all in. Obviously everything in nature is always a little bit chaotic. There's no straight lines anywhere. There you go. Something like that. Dead simple to do. I'll get the rest of this on and then we'll come back for the final part. Okay, the final part then. So what we're going to do now is going to start adding some tufts and stuff. What I do when I'm putting tufts on, they are sticky on the back, but I kind of put a little bit of Mod Podge on sometimes. Not all the time. So they do kind of, they stay on, but just in case, especially with these flowers and stuff, I'll put one on in a bit. So just where you think you're going to want your tufts, maybe have one there. Yeah, one down here somewhere. It's just a case of just sticking them on really. One over here. Yeah. I like to have plenty of tufts on my bases. They're cheap enough. Just stick a load on there. They look kind of cool, don't they? And one down there. So there's 5. Where are my tweezers? Yeah. So I've got 3 different colours here. Got this like spring green colour, I think, or summer green. I don't know. Stick that one on there. You'll be able to see the white glue for a little while until it dries, but it's not a drama. I'll stick this one back. Like I said before, I don't religiously stick to one type of tuft. I've just got a big pile of them. I use whatever I've got because it can all get a bit annoying if you start running out of a certain brand and you're halfway through a project and you have half the army looking one way and half the army looking another. It's can be a bit frustrating. So if you just mix them all up, that's my kind of theory. I don't know if it works, but there we go. That's what I do. Yeah, so there's the tufts on. Now we're just going to add some flowers. When I'm doing these flowers, because they're quite awkward, I've already snipped them off because they come in these strips, so you just get your little pair of scissors in there, nail scissors, something, and snip in between them. And you can, you can just pull them off. Let's dunk it in the glue. Let's put a nice little flower bed right there, and just press it in like so. Put another one. I just think one flower will do, and then we'll put some of these little bushy bits in as well. So go for one at the back there. So if my hand's in the way, it's quite awkward to do and film. I reckon that'll do, you know. Yeah. So that is the base done. All my bases are slightly different for different army projects. So this is kind of imagine like the side of a mountainside somewhere, going into the lowlands. It's like a mountain tribe of like barbarians that are coming down. My wood elves are more of a forest floor base, and my goblins are kind of a wooded area on the outskirts of the forest kind of thing. The idea I was going for. Different types of static grass and things like that. So all the bases are slightly different. It's whatever takes my fancy really while I'm doing it. They are quite similar though, I suppose. So that's the base done. I hope that was useful for you. So it's a bit long-winded. It's taken me all week to make this video, doing a bit at a time because I've been doing the whole army at the same time. But yeah, there we go. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.